introduce yourself and spell your name.
My name is Jeffrey Lacasse. Sorry. Jeffrey Lacasse.
How are you employed, sir?
I'm an associate professor at Florida State University.
How long have you been with FSU?
I came back in 2013. I was also there from 2000 to 2008.
Have you always lived in Tallahassee?
No, I'm from California originally. I went to Phoenix for 5 years from 2008 to 2013. Really loved Tallahassee, so when I got a tenure track job here, I was excited to return in fall of 2013.
Did you have a relationship at some point with Wendi Adelson?
I did.
What was that relationship?
We met in the fall of 2013. Apologize for my voice. Let me just get a little water.
You can have water.
We started dating in the fall of 2013, September 2013. We dated casually in the fall and more seriously in the spring and summer of 2014.
When did the relationship end?
Well, that's a little tricky, but basically July of 2014.
All right, we'll walk through that a little more
Yeah.
in detail. During the time that you were dating Ms. Adelson,
Breathing on my
Is that me?
very close.
I don't know, maybe we need to move it. Is it okay if I touch the microphone, or you want me to?
Is this about the right distance here?
I'm not sure it's you, but I'm just
That's not-
backing up a hair. I know,
Okay.
it's hard to get right.
Maybe if you speak up, it'll just help you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so during the time that you were together, did you become aware of Wendi Adelson's recent divorce from Dan Markel?
I did. On our first several dates, that was the primary topic of conversation.
And were you aware that this was an unusually nasty divorce?
Yes.
During the time that you were dating her, did you become aware that even subsequent to the divorce, there was ongoing litigation pending?
Yes.
Did you know Dan Markel?
I met Professor Markel. I did not know him. I probably spent 10, 15 minutes in his presence across the course of that relationship.
And were you specifically familiar with the litigation concerning Wendi Adelson relocating with her children to South Florida?
Yes, that was a topic of conversation, for sure.
If you know, did Wendi want that relocation to take place?
Yes, on our second date, the topic of relocation and being stuck in Tallahassee came up, and the date was ended abruptly when she went to the bathroom, returned with tears in her eyes, and just left the date because she was so upset. That was about two and a half months after it was denied.
All right.
And it continued to be a topic, but that's the
But
most-
that issue seemed to be specifically what was upsetting her on that day.
definitely was. She left a group date suddenly because it came up.
All right. And did she have family in South Florida?
Yes.
And what family was that?
Well, her brother, Charlie Adelson, Harvey Adelson, her father, and Donna Adelson, her mother, were the ones primarily that I heard about.
Were you also familiar with the litigation seeking to limit the exposure of Wendi Adelson's young sons to her mom, Donna Adelson?
Yes, in spring of 2014, yes.
And did you observe Wendi to be taking that filing seriously? Did she seem stressed or worried about it?
Every filing she took seriously, and she was stressed. I had reported to TPD that every time a motion was filed, it affected our relationship because she's very upset.
During the time that you were in a relationship with Wendi, did you have an occasion to meet her family members in South Florida?
I did. Well, I met her parents mostly up here. So I met Donna and Harvey Adelson probably 8 to 12 times up here. I met the defendant down in South Florida one time.
All right, so you only met Charlie Adelson one time.
That's correct.
When was that?
That was the evening of March 11th, 2014.
And had you already met the parents several times at that point?
Yes, probably 6, 8 times at that point, maybe more.
So they came here quite frequently.
Yes.
What about Catherine Magbanoa? Did you meet her?
She was present at the dinner that I attended on March 11th, where it was myself, the defendant, Wendi Adelson, and her went to dinner that evening, March 11th.
You're saying the defendant. Do you see the person in the courtroom
Yes,
that you had dinner with? Who's that?
that is Charles Adelson, known to me as Charlie,
Could you point him out and describe what he's wearing?
Yeah, he's sitting in the center of the defense table wearing a light blue tie and a navy blue sports coat.
All right. And so Catherine Magbanua, how was she related to this family or affiliated with the family?
I was introduced to her as Charlie's new girlfriend, essentially.
And was it your understanding that this was the first time that Wendi was meeting Catherine Magbanua as well?
That was my understanding. She was excited about Catherine Magbanua, and that was my impression, yes.
All right, so anything unusual happened at the dinner?
Well, at the dinner, Miss Magbanua mentioned that she had I guess it was her ex-common law husband, who had a criminal history that sounded very serious, and I did raise my eyebrows at that.
Did Charlie Adelson seem disturbed or upset by Catherine Magbanua mentioning that?
I don't recall him seeming disturbed, no.
All right, what about after dinner? Where'd you go next?
We went to Mr. Adelson's home, and we sat in his hot tub and had a few drinks and talked for a little while.
Who's the we that sat in the hot tub?
Yeah, myself, Wendi Adelson, Charles Adelson was in the hot tub for a while, and his then roommate, Dr. Jerome Obed.
All right, so Dr. Obed was living with Charlie Adelson at that time?
That was my understanding. It was his roommate, yeah.
All right, and where was Catherine Magbanua at that time?
She did not accompany us back to the house.
In the hot tub, did the defendant make some statements that were of interest in this case?
Yes.
What were those?
Judge, objection, motion to eliminate.
Adelson in the hot tub mentioned anything about having connections to a criminal element?
Yes, he did. He mentioned having contacts on both sides of the tracks, meaning dentists, lawyers, professional class people, but he also had people he knew that were a criminal element, yes.
And did you get more specific about anything about these people that are the criminal element?
He mentioned specifically, I repeated it to DPD, about Cuban neighborhoods where you might find that criminal element.
Okay, so he had connections to those type of people.
That's what he said,
And
yes.
what was the context of this? Was he just seemed scared about it, worried about it, or something else?
Seemed to be bragging.
I want to ask you about a meeting with Wendi at a coffee shop that occurred on June 4th, 2014. Do you recall that?
I do.
What happened at the coffee shop?
We went to the Red Eye Coffee Shop to have coffee, just to meet midday, and Miss Adelson canceled a trip that we had planned for July 11th to 17th to go see my parents, which was a big deal in the relationship, and she abruptly canceled it.
Did she offer an explanation as to why she needed to cancel the trip?
Not one that made sense. She said that she feared that we would not get back in time, and she emphasized, had to be back on the 18th to pick the kids up out of school, which would have been July 18th, 5 p.m., is my understanding. And I couldn't fathom why in the summer going through Atlanta you wouldn't be able to get back in time. It didn't make any sense to me.
So she was worried you could be delayed and she wouldn't be able to pick the kids up.
Right, and we had people who could babysit. It didn't make any sense at all, but that was what she said. That day was very important.
All right, and so that occurred on June 4th.
It did.
All right, did you see her later that evening?
I did. I went to the house to hang out with her and her children.
And is that her residence on Aqua Ridge?
Yes, ma'am.
And how was she that night? This is June 4th, right?
It is.
Okay.
She was a nervous wreck to the point where she was sick to her stomach. Asked me to get to her house as soon as possible. She was in that much distress. And she didn't have food poisoning or flu or anything obvious. She was just a nervous wreck. So I went to her house, immediately went to the store to get her Pepto-Bismol and a couple of things from the convenience store. I have the credit card receipt, is why I recall that so specifically.
And did you have any idea why she was acting? I assume this is unusual for her.
It was fairly unusual. The degree of severity was definitely unusual. But that whole week, June 4th to 9th, she was very nervous. So
And she didn't
She-
tell you it was because killers were in Tallahassee to kill Dan Markel, did she?
no, I was stunned to later find out that there was hitmen in town at the time.
Okay. So let's go forward a little bit to this TV situation. Do you know anything about Wendy's TV being broken?
I do.
And when was the TV broken, if you know?
Between June 11th and 18th, I think it's closer to the 11th, but 100% in that week.
And how do you know it was in that week?
Because we rented a movie, How to Train a Dragon 2, to give the kids a special movie night, and I have text messages where I'm discussing having seen the movie by the 18th with friends.
So you were able to refresh your memory?
Yeah, I was able to
by going
refresh
through
my,
those?
yeah.
Okay. All right, so do you get the movie, or?
Well, it's back in the day, it was Redbox, so I rented a DVD from a Redbox, it was 2014.
All right, and go over there with the movie and what happens when you arrive.
I walk in the door and Miss Adelson asked me to look at her television because there's something wrong with the television.
And what was wrong with the television?
Well, I turned it on and I was immediately confused because it really shouldn't have been a question. As soon as you turn the TV on, it's been struck by an object and is damaged and basically unusable.
Can you explain what the damage looked like?
Yeah, it looked like somebody stood in front of it, took their fist, and hit it like that was my first impression.
So kind of like a shatter mark with spiders.
Yeah, there's like an impact crater, and then there's, out from that, and it's all pixelated and distorted, which makes it very difficult, or really no one would watch this TV unless you had to. And I had second thoughts about that. I looked around the room. Maybe the kids broke it, so I looked all around the room, and it didn't seem plausible that the children broke it. They're very small. This object had to be kind of heavy. I'd thrown a ball around with them. I just couldn't see how the kids could have done it.
But you didn't see how it got busted.
I didn't see it. I didn't know for sure, and I didn't know we'd be discussing this in a murder trial, so I didn't investigate further or think about it very much,
Sure.
to be honest with you. I just thought, okay.
Were there other TVs in the house?
There was a TV in the back bedroom, a similar make and model, that we had watched television with the kids before on that TV before, so yes.
Is that where you watched the movie that night?
No, I went to go hook up the DVD player in the back room. Miss Adelson insisted that it would not work and actually stopped me from even trying. So thought that was very odd, but I didn't want to argue, and it's her house, her TV, her kids, so I said, okay.
So did you watch the movie on the broken TV?
Yeah, we gave the kids movie night where we watched a movie on a broken television that was distorted enough that you could follow what was happening, but the kids are whining and crying the whole time. And I wasn't whining or crying exactly, but I was tempted to because it
Close.
was pretty frustrating. And I just didn't understand, what was going on. And of course, I had related that this TV is broken, it's unwatchable, it's not covered by warranty, you're going to have to get a new TV. And I offered to go do that for her anytime she wanted. She's a busy single mom. I'll run by Best Buy, get you a new TV. It was not like a 80-inch TV or something that was really that luxurious. It was a TV like you'd see in a dorm room, so we could have replaced it right away.
All right, did you end up getting a new TV?
No, she turned me down several times on that offer, and again, it's her house. I tried to respect her boundaries, and I said, oh, okay. But it was inconvenient because after dinner, it's nice to be able to put the kids in front of that TV while you clean up the dishes and stuff. And
Okay.
it sat there being an inconvenience for a while.
All right. I want to ask you about when is Ms. Adelson's birthday?
April 22nd,
Okay.
Earth Day.
I've got this out of order. Let's skip over that for now and go to the big fight in June. Ms. Adelson mentioned that there was a big fight toward the end of June. Do you recall that?
Yeah, that's the weekend of June 27th, 28th.
Where were you when that fight occurred?
We were in Gainesville. Miss Adelson accompanied me for a work trip, and we had that scheduled for a while, and we went, she accompanied me on a work trip, and we ended up having a pretty big argument Saturday night in the hotel.
When did that have to do with you accusing her of seeing other men?
That was one of the issues. There'd been a lot of tension bubbling. That was the major issue. But just to give that some context, I suspected very strongly she was seeing other men. Of course, your office had confirmed recently to me that there was multiple online active dating accounts the whole time we were supposed to be exclusive. But just to give context to that, that was combined with Wendi promising me the world in June. Talking about me moving in, shouldn't get a Jeep, you should get a car, the kids' car seats will fit in. The kids should start calling you daddy was the most outrageous one. And so she's like throwing herself at me over the top in a way that felt totally disingenuous and fake. And at the same time, I think she's seeing other guys. So it just kind of boiled over. I tried to have like a serious, honest relationship conversation with her, and that didn't go very well.
So you were kind of, at least up until all of this started happening, you were kind of full steam ahead, and it seems like she was a little stop and go, hot and cold. Is that
It was a
accurate?
roller coaster, is what I would say. And I had felt since April that I was perhaps being strung along. I had that intuition. I couldn't fathom a reason why you would string a guy along like that. It didn't make any sense at the time.
All right, so we're in June, like 28th range?
Okay.
Okay, when do you come back from Gainesville?
The morning of the 29th, after this fight or this argument, we drive back. We drive back to Tallahassee. Now, I had another ride back, and I offered to take that other ride if the fight was that bad, because we could have broken up after this. That was, but she wanted to ride back with me.
You rode together?
Yeah, we rode together.
All right, so you rode back together, and then was she leaving that day?
I believe it was I thought she picked up the kids the next day from Professor Markel's house, and that's when she met Amy Adler, and that was a big deal to her.
Amy Adler was Dan's girlfriend at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so it's at some point after the big fight and the return from Gainesville, does she leave to go to South Florida?
Yeah. A day or two later, she definitely leaves to return to South Florida. She's in South Florida by July 1.
All right, and was that the trip that she was there for her dad's birthday?
That's correct.
Did you attend the dad's birthday?
No, I was never invited to the dad's birthday.
All right, and were you aware what the big gift was for dad's birthday?
No.
All right, so when did you see Wendi next after she leaves to go to South, or I guess after you return from Gainesville?
So during that 2-week period, we're exchanging emails, texts, long phone calls, video chats with the kids. Things are up and down, but it seemed like it's probably going to be okay. That's the impression I was given by Miss Adelson. Or I was being strung along 2 more weeks. But I see her again on the 13th when she comes back in town and is excited to have a date with me. So we had a date.
All right, so now we're at July 13th, 2014.
That's correct.
So within a week of the murder.
That's right.
Okay, tell us about your interactions with her that day.
Yeah, we went to dinner and a movie, and we returned to our house on Aqua Ridge.
All right, and did she tell you anything asked to tell you anything in confidence that evening?
Yeah, in a very serious tone of voice. The topic of conversation as we're walking up to the house is about relocation, being stuck in Tallahassee, and Danny, as the conversation always was about, Dan Markel. She said in a very serious tone of voice, "Can I tell you something in confidence?"
Objection, Your Honor. Motion to eliminate.
Now, Ms. Kappelman, to understand the court's rulings.
I think I do, Judge, but asked to approach.
Please approach.
No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
You may cross-examine.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Professor Lacasse, good morning.
Good morning.
You met Charlie Adelson one time, right?
That's correct.
It was a trip that you and Wendi took down to South Florida for a day after a spring break with the kids that she taught.
Yeah, we were in Immokalee, and then we went over to Miami, or to Fort Lauderdale and Miami, just for the 11th, that's right.
And you had dinner, you said you had dinner on March 11th of 2014 at a place called Yardbird.
That's correct.
You recall Charlie was in his scrubs?
Don't recall that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
And Catherine McBanawa was at that dinner, right?
She was.
And I think you said that she was bringing up stuff about her ex, right?
Not a lot, just a little bit, but she did bring that up, and I recalled it.
Is it fair to say that she was pushing for information at that dinner
From who?
from Miss Adelson?
I don't recall that.
Well, was she trying to get Miss Adelson to talk about her ex-husband?
I don't recall that.
Do you recall there being a lot of discussion at the dinner about Professor Markel?
Don't recall a lot. It always came up for a minute. It came up in the context of Wendi Adelson's book. Most of it was Charlie talking.
You recall Katie asking questions about how the divorce was going, how he was treating her, where he was. You don't recall any of that happening at the dinner?
I do not recall any of that.
The only thing you recall is her saying something about her ex-husband.
That's what stuck out. We've had previous legal proceedings where I also could not, I can't. It's a dinner 9 years ago. I don't remember a lot of detail of it. And it wasn't long either. It was just an hour.
Isn't it likely that she was talking about her ex-husband and her problems because there was talk about exes?
I mean, that's pure speculation on my part. I don't recall. I do recall some other things we spoke about, but I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about them or not. They involved your client. They weren't. So I'm in my head trying to figure out how much space was there for other stuff. As I previously testified, most of it was Charlie telling us stories, kind of.
But Katie was clearly wanting to bring up the topic, as you said, about her family situation, correct?
Yeah, but I'm talking about 2 or 3 sentences here. I only recalled that in retrospect because there was a murder, and I thought, oh, geez.
And it was important enough for for Miss Kappelman to ask you about that, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right? So you remember her talking about her family situation, right?
Yeah, and I also remember Charlie talking about a party he had recently attended. There's a few other random things.
Fair
in
enough.
there.
I didn't ask, with all due respect, I didn't ask you that.
Okay.
Let's just stick with the family situation.
Okay.
So Catherine McBanawa was talking about her family situation, correct?
For 2 or 3 sentences, she mentioned that Sigfredo Garcia, not by name, and the tensions with him. Yes.
Okay. You say that Charlie talked in the hot tub or the pool about having connections to the criminal element. That's what your testimony was, right?
Yes, starting with my initial statement to TPD. Yes, sir.
And you're talking about your statement to TPD after the murder, right?
3 days after the murder.
And after you thought Wendi Adelson was trying to frame you for the murder, right?
I didn't think that in that interview.
Okay.
It took me some time to process.
You're aware that you were called in as a suspect for the murder, right?
Yes.
Okay. And after that point in time is when you gave that statement to TPD regarding what Mr. Adelson said. Just yes or no?
After I was called into the police station?
Yes.
Yeah, that's when I gave my statement at the police station.
Right. What I'm making clear is it's not like you had dinner and were in a hot tub with Charlie Adelson and you went back to Tallahassee and gave the statement then, right?
No, I would have no reason to do that.
I understand that, Professor Lacasse. I'm just trying to make it clear for the jury when you gave TPD this statement.
Yeah.
And the answer is you gave him the statement after the murder and after you were called in as a suspect on that murder.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, do you recall texting Charlie Adelson after you met with him?
I texted Mr. Adelson one time, yes.
Okay. And do you recall saying to him, "Hey, Charlie, it's Jeff," as in Wendi and Jeff. "Hey, man, thanks for your hospitality the other night. Sorry about the clusterfuck with the cab. It was great to finally meet you. I could tell how proud you are of your sister. I am too. She's really 1 in a million. Take care, dude, and look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. Do you recall texting him that?
I do recall texting him that.
Okay. You like hanging out with the criminal element?
It was my new girlfriend's brother who she was very close with. I've been dating Wendi seriously for 12 days. I didn't think it was right to give a... I was polite rather than honest, let's put it that way. I mean,
Let me ask the question again.
Yeah.
Do you like hanging out with the criminal element?
no, I don't do that.
Did Charlie Adelson text you, or did you text him?
I texted him. I can't remember if that was solicited by Wendi Adelson or not, but I texted him.
It wasn't solicited by Charlie Adelson, right?
No, we never spoke again, though.
Okay. Actually, he texted you back,
Right, I never answered.
and he said it was great seeing you. I'm glad you made your flight. Hopefully, we can all hang out soon. Now, you testified that Wendi was a wreck. Hold on one second, sorry. One moment, Your Honor. I've lost my place.
Tom?
You testified about some of these divorce filings on direct, correct?
Yes,
And that Wendi, you testified that Wendi was a wreck about him, right?
yes.
That's not what you thought in the spring of 2014, though, was it?
You're questioning whether... It is what I thought in spring of 2014. I noticed repeatedly her reacting to motions and litigation and getting very, very upset. I'm not saying there was never any good times, but she was very upset when he filed something.
Do you recall sending an email to Wendi Adelson in March 27th of 2014 where you tell her that she's adapting really well to unpleasant circumstances and that she needs to give herself more credit?
That sounds familiar. I would say it got increasingly worse March, April, May, June in terms of her reactions to the entire situation. But I know I was sending that email, yes, trying to encourage my girlfriend at the time, yes.
Oh, really? It got worse. Filings in March, April, and June.
No, I don't know when the last filing was. Her reactions, not just to filings, but the entire situation, let me clarify that. So.
Hold on a second. Would it surprise you that there weren't any filings
No,
in May or June?
No, I'm aware of that.
Would it surprise you that there's been testimony in this courtroom that actually things got a little better?
Wendy's status didn't get better. My observations of Wendy saw her spiraling downward in that time period is what I was trying to refer to.
Do you recall that in the spring, summer of 2014, Professor Markel asked Wendy's parents to babysit for him?
I didn't know about that, or I don't recall it if I did.
I'm sure you did. Now, do you recall telling law enforcement that your impression was that Professor Markel's filing was going to fail?
Yes, I was repeating things I'd heard from Wendi Adelson, so most of that content, that was, I mean...
Sir, I'm just asking you for yes or no questions.
Okay.
Let me follow up of where you get that information from.
Okay.
I know you have an agenda.
Yes, I told police that, yes.
Okay. So, you told the police that Wendi wasn't concerned about Professor Markel succeeding
No.
with that motion?
No, she was highly anxious. She was highly anxious.
Did she think that the motion was going to be granted?
I don't think she knew. I think that's what caused the anxiety.
Didn't you tell law enforcement that your impression was that Professor Markel's motion was going to fail?
I did tell law enforcement that, yes.
And didn't you just tell the jury that that impression came from Wendi Adelson?
Well, from my interactions with her and partially my own opinion, to clarify. But yes, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
You also told law enforcement that everyone in the legal community agreed with that assessment.
I didn't speak to everyone in the legal community.
Well, let's read your interview then. And let's see if it refreshes your recollection. One moment, Your Honor. Being summoned. You don't recall being recorded where you said, and I quote, everyone in the legal community agreed with that assessment. At 2 o'clock on 7/23/14, interview part 1, at 34:35 in the interview. You don't recall saying that?
Can you give me the date of the interview again, please?
7/23/2014, interview part 1, and 3/6/2015, you reiterated it at 34 minutes and 35 seconds into the recording. You don't recall saying that?
Vaguely, I do recall saying something like that. I'm a non-lawyer trying to figure out this situation. Getting different messages from different people.
I have no further questions right now, Your Honor.
You redirect examination.
At the time you were in the hot tub with the defendant, did you know that he was a criminal element? Okay, let me rephrase
Yeah.
it. Did you know he was conspiring to commit the murder of Dan Markel?
I had no idea.
All right, and when you were at dinner with he and Catherine McVanawa, did you know that she was conspiring to commit the murder of Dan Markel?
Had no idea.
So you didn't know when you were in the hot tub that you were hanging out with a criminal element in that regard?
No.
Nothing further.
Lacasse, you may step down. You may be recalled
At some point. Members of the jury, we're going to take our lunch break at